Welcome to Alight WA's webinar on how to apply for a Pay It Forward grant. My name is Lisa and I am the Engagement Officer at Alight WA. Thank you for taking the time to join us. The Pay It Forward program is designed to empower peer support groups to deliver projects that aim to improve mental health and social and emotional wellbeing for both group members and the wider community. In this webinar, we'll go through the application form together, highlight common questions, and point you toward the right supports if you need help. For the more complex questions, we will provide you with examples to help guide you. You may pause the video at any time. Before you begin your application, take some time to prepare. Having the right information ready will make the process easier for you. Start by preparing a short overview of your project, what you want to do, why it matters to your group and the community, and who it will benefit. You'll also need itemised quotes for all products and services you're seeking funding for. Each quote must show the quantity, cost, and GST component. Having these ready will save significant time when completing the online form. We will look at this in more detail shortly in this webinar. The Pay It Forward program focuses on 5 key outcomes, and your project must clearly align to at least one of these outcomes: mental illness prevention, early intervention and/or recovery, promote positive mental health, social and emotional well-being, increase mental health literacy, enhance group capacity through growth and expansion, increase the sustainability of your support group, which is long-term running. How to access the application. To access the Pay It Forward grant application, visit www.alight.org.au. Then click the What We Do tab up the top, and then click on Small Grants. Scroll down to the Pay It Forward section to find the Pay It Forward guidelines, key application dates, and the online link. Once you click the application form button, it will request your email address. A link will then be sent to you via email. If you don't receive the email link within a couple of minutes, check your junk folder. Click on the email link to start your application. If you need to pause or come back to the application, you can press Save for Later and then use this email application link to resume your application. Starting the application. The first section of the application will ask you to confirm that you have read and understood the guidelines and that you are also a current Alight WA member. To be eligible for Pay It Forward funding, your peer support group or organisation must be a current Alight WA member. If you're not a member yet and your peer support group has been running for more than 6 months with 5 active members, you can apply for Alight membership. Please keep in mind you should allow up to 2 months for this process, so you may need to apply for the following Pay It Forward round. You can apply for membership by clicking on the Join Our Network tab on the Alight website. If you are unsure if you are a member, please contact us. Once you've confirmed both of these questions, the application will then ask for your basic contact details: the name of your peer support group, your ABN if you have one, your physical and postal address, and the contact name of your project lead. This should be the name of the person who will be leading the project and responsible for any inquiries about the application. This contact person is also typically responsible for completing the final reports and signing the funding contracts. This next section of the application form are your group's details. These questions inform the review panel of the identity, structure, and purpose of your group. We have provided examples of how you may answer some of these questions. Please feel free to pause this video at any point and read the example answers if needed. The first question is, please provide an overview of your peer support group or organisation and outline your mission and vision statement. This is where you can tell us about your peer support group, who you are, what you do, and why you exist. share your group's main aim. The next question is, what are your peer support group or organisation's key goals? Here, tell us what does your group hope to achieve now and in the future? Then, what activities and services does your peer support group provide to your members and the community? This might be monthly group meetings, an online closed group, or community outreach. Does your group charge a fee to attend the peer support group? You are still eligible to apply if you do charge a fee. Tell us how much it is and what it covers. This might be as simple as a $5 fee to cover coffee or for the venue hire. Are you currently funded by the Mental Health Commission? If you are currently receiving Mental Health Commission funding for your group in any form, you are ineligible to apply. Once you have finalised and acquitted your funding, you are welcome to apply in our next funding round. Are you currently funded from any other source? This includes your overall organisation funding rather than just this specific project funding. You are still eligible to apply for the PIF grant, but this question allows us to understand your organisation more. Has your group or organisation been funded by Light WA in the past? This includes previous years when we were called Connect groups. Please list when you were funded and what for. You are still eligible to apply provided your previous grant has been acquitted and all final reports have been submitted. You can then click Next. This next section is the main body of your application and outlines your project and funding request. The first question is, please select one or more funding categories that best describe your grant request. If you are requesting funding for multiple items, you may select multiple categories. What region will your proposed project take place in? Please note this is based on your project's location rather than where your group is based. Please describe the proposed project. What items and services are you requesting funding for, and what activities are planned? Here, you clearly explain in detail what your project is and specifically what you are requesting funding for. Remember, these items listed here must match your funding request table later in the application. The next question is, please select one or more of the pay it forward outcomes this project will address. Here, you tick which outcome you feel your project aligns with. A text box will appear below the selected outcomes, which allows you to explain how the project meets that particular outcome. Give as much detail here as how this project will really serve your target group, and as this is what will help the panel score the impact of your group. You may wish to click multiple outcomes. The next question is, will there be any fees or charges for participants to be involved or to attend this activity or project? Similarly to the previous fees question, just explain what the fees are used for. For example, there may be the $5 cost to attend the peer support group to cover the venue hire. How many people do you expect will participate in the project at an organisational level, and who are they? Make sure you include committee members, staff, and volunteers. How many people do you expect to participate and benefit from the project? Here, provide detail of who this may be. An example might be we expect 10 current peer support group members to attend. Please outline any proposed dates for activities and services if they are part of the funding request. This might be a workshop, venue hire, or camp dates. Projects must be completed within the funding period stated on the website. This is typically a 7 or 9 month period from when the funding commences. If your project can't be completed in that time, we encourage you to apply for the next Pay It Forward funding round. The next question is, are any other organisations or support groups involved in this project? Here, you can note any other organisations you are working with to deliver this project. The next question is, please include a letter of email of support if you have one. Now, this is optional, And some groups choose to upload a testimonial for the project if it has been run before or if they are partnering with an organisation. Then, how will you know if this project has been successful and met its objectives? Tell us how you'll measure if the project has met your intended goals. For example, an evaluation form, feedback reports, improved access for members, increased membership, or increased attendance at your group. The next question, will your support group become more sustainable or likely to continue as an outcome of this project? For example, you may wish to plan to find alternative funding streams for the program to continue, or build sponsorships or upskill your volunteers. Then please state any and all potential conflicts of interest related to this project. Applications with conflict of interest are still eligible to apply. This is your opportunity to explain what the conflict is and why it is needed. For example, you may have chosen an expert facilitator that happens to be involved with your support group. You must explain why that person is best placed to deliver the training. It's worth noting, if you are hiring an external contractor that is connected to your group, they will need to have their own ABN and ability to invoice separately. If you are an organisation, grant funding cannot pay for existing salaried staff. Safe project delivery. This is a new section in our application form. The purpose of this next section of questions on safe project delivery is to ensure adequate levels of safety are provided for vulnerable people involved in your project. Please note, if the panel require any further screening, checks, or information, it will not impact the outcome of the grant. The first question is, does your project involve working with children? For example, is it a camp where children will be attending, or will children be attending an event? Then, what is the number of adults involved who will be working with children? Then, how many already have a valid working with children check? And how many will require one? Any paid or unpaid staff or volunteers that will be undertaking an activity where children are involved will require a working with children's check. As mentioned, working with children checks are mandatory, and if you have adults still requiring them, additional funding will be available for this. This expense does not need to be included in your funding request table. If your grant is approved, OLIKE will be in contact with you to organise these checks. Safe project delivery. To support safe project delivery, all applicants must agree that appropriate screening processes are in place to check the suitability of individuals in leadership or coordination roles and to ensure participant safety. Please detail any processes your group or organisation has in place to ensure those in leadership or coordination roles are suitable to safely deliver the project. This could include any screening, reference checks, risk assessments, and/or police checks. While these checks aren't mandatory for the initial grant submission, it allows the panel an overview of what safety and risk measures have been put in place prior to the grant submission. If you feel that police clearances would be required, you can apply for these within the funding table. You'll then click to confirm you understand a police clearance may be requested if OLIKE WA deems the project warrants it, and that failure to provide these requested clearances may result in refusal or withdrawal of grant funding. We are now up to the project financials. This part of the application is one of the most important sections, and the grants panel will base their approved funding allocations off your proposed figures. We are now up to project financials. This part of the application is one of the most important sections, and the grants panel will base their approved funding allocations off your proposed figures. Each line in your funding table must detail the item and quantity you are wanting. If you are requesting a large quantity of the item, for example, 500 brochures, You may enter a quantity of 1 and the total price and provide the quantity details in the description rather than an individual price per brochure. Be listed in priority order. You can drag and drop these lines to match your order of priority. If we can't fund the full amount, having your items listed in order of importance may allow us to consider partial funding. The table must list the GST exclusive price. All items you are requesting must have a matching quote or invoice uploaded. And the requested amount must not exceed $10,000 ex GST in total. Your quotes or invoices must be dated within the last 3 months. Costs do fluctuate frequently, so this is really important. Quotes must be clearly legible. Quotes must clearly detail the GST component or specify if GST is not applicable. Quotes must come from an external supplier. The quote or invoice cannot be from your own group or organisation. Quotes must list the specific item and quantity you are wanting. They also must include dates of proposed events, e.g. venue hire or accommodation and camp dates. Quotes must not be a proposed budget. They must not be your internal costs. For example, an estimated price to use your own printer for brochures. Quotes must not be vague with no quantity listing or booking dates if applicable. And quotes cannot be for staff salaries or payments or gifts for volunteers. Now we will go back to the grant application screen. It's important to note that when we refer to ex-GST or GST exclusive, we mean the price of a product before GST is added. Most suppliers include a separate line on the invoice showing the GST amount. If they don't, please confirm with your supplier that GST is included in the total cost and then divide the amount by 1.1 to calculate the ex-GST figure. If you are unsure, please contact your supplier directly, as not all goods and services attract GST. You do not need to ask the supplier to get rid of the GST. GST is a legal requirement. We just need the amount displayed clearly. If you are purchasing from an online supplier and unable to get an individual quote, we will accept a screenshot that clearly displays the items, their cost, and the GST component. Also to note, if you are self-catering, please provide either a breakdown of your proposed food order or the proposed amount per person per meal. Please note that external catering will still require a supplier quote or invoice. If your project involves regional travel and you are requesting funding for fuel, please detail the travel. For example, point A to B, the kilometres, and calculate the requested amount using the ATO prescribed rate of 0.80 cents per kilometre. For example, Perth to Mandurah would be 68 kilometres times 80 cents. If approved, we will send fuel cards to cover the cost of the petrol. Now here is the example of a completed table. Each line has been detailed with the item, the cost, excluding GST, and the specific relevant quote attached. Once all this data is entered, you will then click to confirm the pricing does not include GST and that your items are listed in order of priority. You can move items by dragging and dropping the items that you feel are the most important to fund to the least. As mentioned, this helps the grants panel and ensures allocated approved funding will be most relevant to your project and what you hope to deliver. We understand this part is not always easy. If you get stuck with this table, please reach out for support. The next 3 questions allow you to upload any additional information that you feel is important for the panel to see and information that was not addressed in any other questions. These questions are optional and most groups won't upload anything. The first questions ask if there's any additional information you would like to add about your quotes or your application. This may be an opportunity to explain why you chose a certain supplier. For example, a supplier may be giving you a discount, or they're the only company that can provide you with your item. You may also wish to include any previous success with a project, for example. If there are other funding sources contributing to this project, please outline the details in the next question, including the name of any funding sources and the amount. This may include, for example, volunteers' time or in lieu contributions. The next question asks, if you are approved, will you be able to expend all the funds by the set date? This one is important. This question means, will you be able to spend all the funds as well as complete your project before the end date? If the answer is no, we would encourage you to apply for the next funding round. If you are unsure how this might fit with your project, please contact us prior to applying. The next question just asks you to let us know how you heard about the Pay It Forward grant. This allows a like to understand how we can broaden our reach to new peer support groups. Once completed, you can then click the Submit button to submit your final application. Now we can look at some frequently asked questions about our Pay It Forward grants. Can you give me feedback on my application? Please contact us if you would like support or advice about your application prior to submitting. Once the application is submitted, we will only contact you if there is any errors or missing information. Can I have an extension? No, extensions are not available. Please ensure your application is submitted prior to closing date. What can I apply for? You can apply for practical resources that you require for your peer support group if you can demonstrate how they contribute to improving the mental health and social emotional well-being of your group. Some examples may be venue hire to allow your group to continue to meet, insurance to ensure the group is covered for public liability, or mental health first aid training to upskill your facilitators or members. Keep in mind, we do have a $10,000 ex-GST cap, and often we may only be able to partially fund your project. Can you cover staff wages to run the project? No. As per our funding guidelines, we are unable to cover staff salaries or costs. Can I provide quotes to you after I am approved? No. Quotes must be uploaded at the time of submission for your application to be eligible. How do I request funding for my regional travel? Please provide details of the regional travel as a line item in the funding table. For example, point A to point B, the total kilometres, and calculate the requested amount using the ATO rate of 80 cents ex-GST per kilometre. How do I get a quote if I am self-catering? Please provide either a breakdown of your proposed food order or the proposed amount per person per meal specifying the meal. Most people choose to provide an example shopping cart from Woolworths or Coles. Can I provide a budget breakdown rather than quotes? With the exception of self-catering, internal budgets will not be accepted. We will only accept individual specific quotes from suppliers. Do you reimburse me for items I have already paid for? No, you must not pay for any items as we are unable to reimburse. Invoices must be sent directly to Alight WA for payment. We are unable to pay any invoices for activities or purchases that were incurred prior to your grant approval date. If approved, what else do I need to do? You will receive a contract to sign outlining the terms and conditions and instructions for placing orders. Once your grant is completed, we will send you a final report to complete. No other reporting or acquittals are required. When will I know my outcome? All applicants will be notified of the outcome of their application approximately 6 weeks after the application close date. I've had a grant before. Can I apply for a grant again? Yes, you are welcome to apply again if your grant has been finalised and the final report has been completed. Priority may be given to applicants who have not been funded by Alight WA in the last 2 years. However, we encourage you to place an application. Things to remember. It is important to remember these key steps. Read the guidelines carefully. Prepare your project overview and quotes early. Make sure your quotes and invoices match your quote table, and submit your application before the deadline. If you need help from Alight regarding your Pay It Forward application, you can visit our website, www.alight.org.au, click on the Small Grants page and click on the guidelines. You can also email us at grants@alight.org.au or call the office on 9364 6909. We also offer a drop-in service. Please visit the What's On page on the website for our drop-in session dates. Thank you for joining today's Pay It Forward Grants webinar. We look forward to seeing your innovative, community-driven peer support projects. Have a great day, and thank you for being part of Alight.